We all search for that one perfect connection. This is the true story of my twin flame.
Before we talk about the end of the world, or at least the end of someone's personal world, we must talk about the beginning. And the beginning of this story doesn't look like a cult. It doesn't look like coercion or mind control. It looks like exhaustion. Think about what it means to be single and searching in the modern era. You are constantly commodifying yourself. You curate your photos. You write a witty bio. You enter the digital meat market of Hinge, Bumble, Tinder, pouring your energy into strangers who might ghost you before the appetizers arrive. It is a marathon of vulnerability, ending time and time again in rejection. For our purposes today, I want to introduce you to a woman. We'll call her Sarah. Sarah is 31 years old. She's a graphic designer living in Seattle. She is smart, she is funny, and she has a fantastic group of friends. By all external metrics, Sarah is winning at life. But internally, Sarah is carrying a profound, heavy, quiet loneliness. The kind of loneliness that doesn't go away when you are in a crowded room. The kind of loneliness that settles in your chest like a stone the moment you unlock your front door and step into an empty apartment. Sarah has done everything right. She's gone to therapy to heal her childhood wounds. She practices mindfulness. She journals. But she wants a partner. She wants someone to share the mundane beauty of life. It's a Tuesday night in November. It's raining because it's Seattle, and Sarah is on her couch, wrapped in a blanket, mindlessly scrolling through YouTube on her laptop. She's falling down one of those algorithmic rabbit holes. She started by watching a video about attachment styles, which led to a video about manifesting love, which led to them.
You are watching this video right now because your soul led you here. You're tired, aren't you? You're tired of the dating games. You're tired of partners who don't fully see you. What if I told you that you never have to play that game again?
Sarah pauses the video. On her screen is a young, conventionally attractive couple sitting closely together. The man is Jeff. He has dark, wavy hair, a bright, inviting smile, and an intense, unwavering gaze that seems to penetrate right through the camera lens. He speaks with the absolute certainty of a motivational speaker, but with the gentle cadence of a youth pastor. Next to him is Shaleia. She has long, dark hair and an ethereal, earthy beauty. While Jeff speaks, Shaleia looks at him, and I mean, she really looks at him. Her eyes are wide, glassy with absolute adoration. She hangs on his every syllable. They lean into each other. They touch each other's hands. They are a living, breathing billboard for perfect, unbroken intimacy. Sarah presses play.
We know your pain. We were there. But God didn't design you to be alone. You were created with a perfect complement, your twin flame. And we are here to show you exactly how to bring them home to you.
A twin flame. Now, if you spend any time in New Age or spiritual circles online, you might have heard this term. But Jeff and Shaleia didn't just casually use the phrase, they weaponized it into a perfect theology. They explained to their viewers that a soulmate is just someone you resonate with. You can have dozens of soulmates. Your best friend could be a soulmate. A passing lover could be a soulmate. Soulmates are temporary teachers, but a twin flame? That is entirely different. According to Jeff and Shaleia, at the very dawn of creation, your soul was forged in the divine fire. But before it was placed into a human body, it was split in two. One half went into you. The other half went into your twin flame. You are literally two halves of the same divine consciousness. Think about the psychological relief of that concept. For Sarah, sitting on her couch, exhausted by the endless gamble of dating, this isn't just an interesting idea. It is a lifeline. If twin flames are real, then the universe isn't a chaotic, lonely void. It is perfectly ordered. It means there is one specific person on this planet made exclusively for you. It means that all the bad dates, the toxic exes, the heartbreak, it wasn't your fault. It was just the universe clearing the path, preparing you for your ultimate destiny.
Your twin flame cannot reject you, because they are you. When you heal your own heart, You automatically heal theirs because you share the exact same soul blueprint. You have complete control over your love life. All you have to do is claim it.
All you have to do is claim it. Sarah watches another video, and then another. She stays up until 3 a.m., the glow of the laptop illuminating her tired eyes, but her heart is racing with an adrenaline she hasn't felt in years. Hope. Pure, unadulterated hope. In the description box of every video, there is a link. Join our free Twin Flames Universe community on Facebook. Sarah clicks it. When Sarah is accepted into the private Facebook group, she expects a small forum of quirky, spiritual folks. Instead, she walks into a bustling, highly organized digital metropolis. There are thousands of members, and they aren't fringe societal outcasts. They are doctors, lawyers, teachers, college students, people from all over the world, posting in multiple languages. The atmosphere in the group is intoxicating. It is an environment of radical, overwhelming positivity. It is what cult experts refer to as love bombing. Sarah tentatively writes her first post.
Hi everyone, I'm new here. I've been feeling really lost and lonely lately, but Jeff and Shaleia's videos really spoke to me. I just want to find my person.
She hits post. Within 3 minutes, she has 50 notifications. Welcome home, Sarah. We've been waiting for you. You're never going to be lonely again. You are exactly where you need to be. Your twin flame is already feeling your vibration rising, sending you so much love. People are tagging her, sending her direct messages, welcoming her with open arms. They speak a shared language. They talk about ascension, about union, about clearing blocks. For the first time in her adult life, Sarah doesn't feel like she is too much, or too sensitive, or too eager. Her desire for deep, all-consuming love isn't seen as a weakness here. It is seen as a divine calling. And at the top of this pyramid, acting as the benevolent parents of this massive digital family, are Jeff and Shaleia. They frequently post in the group. They host live Q&A sessions. They are accessible, they are kind, and they are living proof that the system works. But Jeff and Shaleia are also businessmen. The Facebook group is free. The YouTube videos are free. But as Jeff frequently reminds his flock, you cannot expect to achieve the highest level of divine union without putting in the work. And the work requires guidance. If you truly want to draw your twin flame to you, you need the tools. You need the map. At the top of the Facebook page, pinned for every new member to see, is a link to their digital storefront. There is a book for $20. There are meditation tracks for $50. But the crown jewel of the Twin Flames universe is the Ascension School. Hundreds of hours of recorded classes, breaking down the exact psychological and spiritual mechanisms needed to secure your eternal partner. The price tag? Thousands of dollars. For Sarah, it's a lot of money. She would have to dip into her savings. But she rationalizes it. She thinks about the money she's spent on dating apps, on bad dates, on therapists who just tell her to learn to be happy alone. Jeff and Shaleia aren't telling her to be happy alone. They are promising her the one thing she wants more than anything in the world. She pulls out her credit card. She types in the numbers. With that single click, Sarah crosses a threshold. She is no longer just a viewer. She is a student. She is a seeker. And she has absolutely no idea that she has just handed the keys to her reality over to a man who will slowly, methodically dismantle her entire identity. Because what Jeff and Shaleia are building isn't a school. It isn't a coaching program. It is a machine. And Sarah just walked right into the gears. Welcome to the classroom. When you buy into the Twin Flames universe, you aren't just handed a few vague affirmations. You are given a highly structured, step-by-step curriculum. At the center of this curriculum is a proprietary tool created by Jeff and Shaleia. It is called the Mind Alignment Process, or MAP. It's presented as a revolutionary psychological breakthrough, but in reality, it is a devastatingly effective tool for dismantling a person's grip on reality. The core philosophy of MAP is beautifully simple and utterly trapping. Your twin flame is your ultimate mirror. Because you and your twin flame share the exact same soul blueprint, whatever they are doing in the physical world is simply a reflection of your own internal spiritual state. Think about the implications of this. If your twin flame is ignoring your text messages, it's not because they aren't interested. It's because you are ignoring a part of your own heart. If your twin flame is running away from you, it's because you are running away from yourself. In the twin flames universe, your partner has no agency. They have no free will. They are just a biological puppet responding to your spiritual vibrations. For Sarah, this is a revelation. Suddenly, the chaotic, painful world of dating makes perfect sense. She has the control. If she can just heal herself, she can mathematically force her twin flame to return to her. She just needs to identify who he is. Sarah looks backward. She thinks about a man she dated about 1.5 years ago. We'll call him Mark. Sarah and Mark went on 4 dates. They had coffee, they went to a museum, they slept together once. And then, the classic modern tragedy. Mark sent a polite text saying he didn't feel a spark, and he faded out of her life. To you and me, Mark is a fleeting memory, a guy from an app. To Sarah, viewed through the lens of TFU, Mark's sudden departure wasn't rejection. It was the universe telling her that her soul was misaligned. The intensity of their divine connection was just too much for his unhealed ego to handle. So he ran. Sarah officially claims Mark as her twin flame in the Facebook group.
I know it's him. I can feel it in my chest. He ran because my own insecurities were pushing him away. But I am committing to the work. I am going to heal my blocks and bring my man home.
The community celebrates her. She is officially on the path to harmonious union. But to get there, she has to use the mind alignment process. And MAP requires a coach. Coaching sessions are not cheap. They cost hundreds of dollars an hour. But Sarah is determined. She begins weekly video calls with a senior TFU coach.
Okay, Sarah, let's do the mirror exercise. Mark hasn't responded to your email. How does that make you feel? It makes me feel like I'm not important. Like I'm invisible.
Good. Now flip it. Say, I feel like I am making myself invisible. I am not treating myself as important. Do you see how he's just reflecting your own lack of self-love? You need to love yourself there, Sarah.
It sounds like standard cognitive behavioral therapy, right? Taking accountability for your feelings. But here is the insidious twist. MAP is designed to make everything your fault. If Mark is happy with someone else, it's your fault for not doing the work fast enough. If Mark is angry at you, it's your fault for projecting anger. Over months, Sarah is trained to second-guess every single natural instinct she has. Her boundaries are erased. Her intuition is labeled as ego. The only truth is the mirror. And the only people who know how to read the mirror are Jeff, Shaleia, and their trained coaches. Sarah is spending thousands of dollars. She is doing the mirror exercise for hours every day. And, encouraged by her coach, she starts reaching out to Mark. First, she sends an email. No response. Her coach tells her this is a block. She needs to persist in love. She sends a long, handwritten letter to his apartment, explaining that their souls are bound together. Mark texts her, asking her to please stop contacting him. Sarah is devastated, but her TFU community cheers. This is massive progress, Sarah. He communicated with you. The mirror is working. He's feeling your energy. You just have to push through his ego's resistance. In the real world, Mark's text is a clear, legal boundary. In the Twin Flames universe, no doesn't mean no. No means try harder. No means I am terrified of our divine love. Sarah begins showing up at Mark's gym. She leaves gifts on his car. She messages his family members on Facebook, trying to explain the divine nature of their connection. She is sleep deprived. fueled only by the manic validation of the Facebook group and the constant expensive coaching sessions. And then reality bites back. Mark files for a restraining order, and a judge grants it. Sarah is handed a legal document explicitly stating that if she comes within 500 feet of her twin flame, she will go to jail. She breaks down. She calls her coach, sobbing, absolutely terrified. This isn't spiritual romance anymore. This is the legal system. This is a criminal record. The illusion should shatter right here. But cults don't break when faced with reality. They double down. Sarah, breathe. A piece of paper cannot separate two halves of the same soul. This restraining order is just a physical manifestation of your own resistance to union. It's an illusion. The devil is trying to keep you apart because your light is too bright. Are you going to let a piece of paper defeat God? Let that sink in. What the outside world calls stalking, TFU calls persisting in love. What the legal system calls a restraining order, TFU calls a spiritual block. They are actively weaponizing vulnerable people, turning them into harassers and framing it as a holy crusade. Sarah's real-world friends are horrified. They see the money she's draining from her savings account. They see the restraining order. They stage an intervention. They sit her down in her living room and beg her to stop, to seek real psychiatric help, to block the Facebook group. But TFU has already prepared Sarah for this. Jeff and Shaleia teach that anyone who doesn't support your twin flame journey is vibrating at a low frequency. They are agents of the matrix. If you want to achieve divine union, you must cut out anyone who brings doubt into your life. Sarah looks at her friends, people she has known for a decade, and she feels nothing but pity. They don't understand. They are asleep. She asks them to leave. She blocks their numbers. Sarah is now completely isolated. She has no friends. Her family thinks she's lost her mind. The only people in the world who understand her, the only people who support her, live inside her computer screen. She is entirely dependent on Jeff and Shaleia. And it is exactly at this moment of total dependency that Jeff reveals his final form. Up until now, Jeff and Shaleia have positioned themselves as master teachers, gurus of love. But as the Ascension School classes progress into the higher tiers, the tiers you have to pay thousands of dollars to access, the language shifts. Jeff stops talking about psychology. He starts talking about theology. During a live broadcasted class, broadcasted to hundreds of devoted students who have given up their savings, their friends, and their sanity to follow him, Jeff looks directly into the webcam.
People ask me how I know these things, how I can see the spiritual grid so perfectly. And the truth is, I didn't want to say it. Shaleia and I didn't want this burden, but we cannot hide from our divine nature anymore. Christ is not a person who lived 2,000 years ago. Christ is a consciousness. It is the highest vibration of divine love, and that consciousness has returned to earth. It has incarnated in me and in Shaleia. We are the second coming, and we are here to bring you home to God.
If a man on the street walked up to you and said he was Jesus Christ, you would cross the street. But Jeff didn't say it on the street. He said it at the end of a meticulously designed, multi-year psychological funnel. He said it to people who had already burned their entire lives to the ground on his instructions. For Sarah, and for hundreds of others, rejecting Jeff's claim to divinity would mean admitting that the restraining order, the empty bank account, and the loss of all her friends was for nothing. It would mean she was just a stalker who got scammed. The human brain cannot handle that level of cognitive dissonance. It is easier to believe that Jeff is God than to admit that you have destroyed your own life. Sarah types in the chat box, "Praise God. Thank you, Master Christ." The trap has snapped completely shut. Sarah is in the Church of Union now, and Jeff, as her new God, is about to demand a sacrifice she never could have imagined. When a self-help group transforms into a religion, the rules of reality change. In the beginning, the Twin Flames universe was about empowering you to find your own perfect partner. It was a DIY map to romance. But once Jeff Ayan declared himself the living incarnation of Christ, the map was suddenly out of your hands. You didn't need to navigate anymore. You just needed to obey. Sarah is now fully submerged. She has drained her savings to buy every masterclass. She has alienated her family. She has a criminal restraining order on her permanent record because she followed TFU's advice to stalk a man named Mark. But despite all her work, Mark is gone. He's not coming back. This presents a massive theological problem for Jeff. If his proprietary mind alignment process is a flawless, divine tool, why is Sarah facing a judge instead of an altar? If Jeff is God, how could his methods fail? The answer is simple. Cult leaders never fail. The followers fail. Or the rules simply change retroactively. It's a Thursday night. Sarah is logged into a mandatory Ascension School live class. Her face on the webcam is pale, exhausted, with dark circles under her eyes. She is practically vibrating with anxiety, terrified that she has somehow failed God. Suddenly, Jeff's face fills the screen. He looks directly at Sarah's video feed.
Sarah, I'm looking at your energy grid right now. You've been struggling with Mark. You think you're failing, but I have a revelation for you. Mark is not your twin flame.
Silence in the chat. Sarah's mind spins. She has spent a year and thousands of dollars obsessing over this man, told by Jeff himself that Mark was her divine other half.
You misidentified him, and that's okay. You needed to practice. You needed to clear those heavy blocks. But as your spiritual guide, I can see the truth. I can see the golden cord connecting your soul to its true counterpart. Your true twin flame is here, in this school.
With a few sentences, Jeff completely rewrites Sarah's reality. He erases a year of trauma, framing her stalking as a clearing exercise. And then he plays God with her heart. He points to another square on the Zoom call, a man named David. David is a 34-year-old former musician from Ohio. Like Sarah, he is bankrupt, isolated, and deeply indoctrinated. He has never spoken a word to Sarah. They have never met in person.
David, unmute yourself. Look at Sarah. God is telling me that you two share a soul. You are twin flames. It is time for you to claim your harmonious union. David, unmute yourself. Look at Sarah. God is telling me that you two share a soul. You are twin flames. It is time for you to claim your harmonious union.
Let's pause and look at what is actually happening. This is arranged marriage, orchestrated by a cult leader over a webcam, but it is far more insidious. In an arranged marriage, there is an understanding that love might take time to grow. In the twin flames universe, if Jeff says you are twin flames, you are instantly, biologically, and spiritually obligated to be deeply, madly in love. Right now. If you feel awkward, if you feel no physical attraction, if you feel scared, that is your ego. That is the devil. And if you reject your twin flame, you are rejecting Christ himself. Sarah looks at David's pixelated face on the screen. He looks just as terrified and exhausted as she is. But they are trapped. To say no is to be excommunicated, cast out into a world where they have no one left. So, they say yes.
Thank you, Master. Thank you. Hi, David. I love you.
I love you too, Sarah.
The community erupts. They are celebrated as the newest couple in harmonious union. They are paraded around the Facebook group as proof that the system works. But behind closed doors, a new psychological nightmare begins. Jeff commands them to merge their lives immediately. TFU teaches that physical distance is an illusion, but spiritual duty requires proximity. Within a month, David breaks his lease in Ohio, packs his car, and drives across the country to move into Sarah's small apartment in Seattle. Imagine it. You are sharing a bed, a bathroom, and a kitchen with a total stranger. You have no money. You are both emotionally fragile, and you are absolutely forbidden from having conflict. In a normal relationship, couples argue. They figure out boundaries. They learn how the other person loads the dishwasher, or how they need space after a long day. In TFU, boundaries do not exist. Remember, you share a soul. You are one entity. Therefore, needing space from your twin flame is an act of spiritual treason. When David leaves his dirty dishes in the sink, Sarah feels a flash of normal, everyday annoyance. She asks him to clean them up. He gets defensive. In the real world, this is a 5-minute spat. But in the Church of Union, this is a crisis that requires emergency coaching. Sarah, why are you projecting anger onto David? He is your mirror. The dishes are just an illusion. You are actually angry at yourself for being messy with your spiritual hygiene. Do the mind alignment process, now. The mind alignment process becomes a weapon they use against each other. They police each other's thoughts. They sit in their tiny living room, reading from their TFU journals, forced to confess their deepest insecurities to a stranger they were ordered to love, apologizing for blocking their divine connection. There is no romance. There is only compliance. They are performing for Jeff. They take smiling selfies and post them in the Facebook group with long, poetic captions about their perfect union. So grateful to Jeff and Shaleia for bringing my king home to me. Every day is a divine blessing. They type these words while sitting on opposite ends of a couch, completely dead inside, terrified that if they admit they are unhappy, they will lose their salvation. For Jeff and Shaleia, this absolute control is highly profitable. Couples in harmonious union are pressured to become coaches themselves, recruiting new, vulnerable people into the group. The money flows straight up to the mansion in Michigan. Jeff has successfully created a closed ecosystem. He controls who you talk to, he controls what you believe, and he controls who you share your bed with. But as the group grows, Jeff's ego swells to a dangerous, uncontrollable size. He doesn't just want to control relationships anymore. He wants to control reality. He wants to control biology itself. You see, Jeff and Shaleia's theology is fundamentally, rigidly traditional when it comes to gender. According to Jeff, divine energy is strictly polarized. There is the divine masculine, and there is the divine feminine, a yin and a yang, a lock and a key. Harmonious union can only exist if one partner perfectly embodies masculine energy and the other perfectly embodies feminine energy. At first, this just meant toxic gender roles. Sarah was told to wear dresses, to speak softly, to defer to David's authority because he was the masculine. David was told to be aggressive, to lead, to never show weakness. It was exhausting, but it was just behavioral control. But then, a glitch appears in Jeff's perfect matrix. As Jeff continues to reassign twin flames, playing God with his webcam, he runs into a demographic problem. The twin flames universe, like many self-help and spiritual communities, is overwhelmingly female. So, what happens when God runs out of men? What happens when Jeff looks at two women, decides they share a soul, and commands them to be together? Jeff cannot admit that his theology is flawed. He cannot allow two feminine energies to exist in a harmonious union. The yin needs a yang. So, if the theology cannot change, the people must change. Sarah and David, sitting in their Seattle apartment, log into a live stream one evening. They are about to witness the most terrifying, psychological boundary crossing in modern cult history. They are about to watch their God reach through the screen and demand that his followers erase their very identities. The cheat code to love is about to become a mechanism for permanent, forced physical mutation. To understand the darkest chapter of the twin flames universe, you have to understand the architect's mind. Jeff Ayan, Jeff Divine, the self-proclaimed living Christ, is a man obsessed with order. His theology leaves absolutely no room for grey areas, for fluidity, or for human complexity. In Jeff's universe, God is perfectly balanced. And because we are made in God's image, human relationships must also be perfectly balanced. There is a divine masculine and a divine feminine. One leads, one follows. One pursues, one receives. It is an aggressively rigid, archaic, and deeply heteronormative worldview. But as the group swelled to thousands of members, Jeff faced a logistical nightmare. The vast majority of his paying followers were women. If Jeff were just a scammer, he would have shrugged, paired the women up, and let them be in same-sex relationships. But Jeff wasn't just a scammer anymore. He was a megalomaniac who believed his own doctrine. To him, a relationship between two feminine energies was spiritually repulsive. It was a mathematical impossibility. A lock cannot open another lock. A yin cannot balance a yin. So, Jeff decrees that Sarah's friends in the group, let's look at two women we'll call Chloe and Emma, are twin flames. Chloe and Emma are both straight women. They joined the group looking for husbands. But Jeff, staring through his webcam, announces that he has seen their spiritual blueprint. They are destined for each other. And then he drops the hammer. Because a harmonious union requires a divine masculine, Jeff looks at Chloe, a woman who has never expressed a single moment of gender dysphoria in her entire life, and tells her a secret about her own soul.
Chloe, the reason you have struggled so much with men, the reason you have so much anxiety in your life, is because you have been living a lie. You are rejecting your divine essence. Emma is your divine feminine, which means, objectively, spiritually, you are the divine masculine. You are a man.
Chloe laughs on the webcam. She thinks it's a metaphor. She thinks Jeff means she needs to embody more masculine traits, like taking initiative, being more assertive.
Thank you, Master. I will work on stepping into my masculine energy.
No, Chloe, I am not talking about energy. I am talking about your identity. You are a man trapped in a woman's body. You are he/him. And until you accept this, you are choosing to stay in hell.
This is the ultimate test of reality control. If Jeff can make you doubt your own gender, if he can convince you that your biological reality and your entire lived experience are just illusions, blocking you from God, he owns you completely. Let's be very, very clear. This has absolutely nothing to do with genuine transgender identity or LGBTQ+ liberation. The transgender community fights for the right to self-determine, to listen to their own inner truth. What Jeff Ayan is doing is the exact opposite. He is weaponizing the language of gender transition as an extreme form of cult compliance. It is forced conversion therapy in reverse, designed to uphold his rigid, heteronormative theology. If Jeff pairs a woman with a woman, one of them must become a man to satisfy the equation. Chloe resists. Of course she does. She cries. She logs off. She tells her TFU coach that she doesn't want to be a man, that she likes being a woman. And this is where the mind alignment process is used as a psychological torture device. Why are you resisting the truth, Chloe? Look at your fear. Do the mirror exercise. Say it. I am afraid of my true self. Your ego is terrified of God. Your ego is holding on to a female identity because you are afraid of the responsibility of being the divine masculine. Are you going to let your ego destroy your harmonious union? Chloe is completely isolated. She has already cut off her family. She has spent her life savings on TFU. Emma, her assigned twin flame, is begging her to transition so they can be in harmonious union and receive God's favor. For weeks, she is subjected to hours of coercive coaching. She is sleep-deprived. The community turns on her, leaving comments on the Facebook group accusing her of being toxic and suppressive for resisting her true gender. Finally, the human mind snaps. The cognitive dissonance is too agonizing to sustain. It is easier to surrender. Chloe posts an update in the Facebook group. I am surrendering to God's plan. My name is Chris now. My pronouns are he/him. The group explodes with love and validation. Suddenly, Chris is the golden child. Jeff praises him on the live stream. But a name change isn't enough. Jeff demands physical proof of surrender. Inside the private, paid groups, the coercion escalates with terrifying speed. Coaches instruct members like Chris to cut their hair. They are told to buy chest binders. And then, they are heavily pressured to seek out testosterone. When Chris expresses fear about the permanent changes of hormone replacement therapy, the vocal drop, the facial hair, His coach is ready with the TFU doctrine. If you don't align your physical body with your spiritual reality, Emma will leave you. The universe will rip her away from you because your vibration is a lie. Take the testosterone, Chris. Show God you are serious. Women who had never experienced body dysmorphia are suddenly convinced that their breasts are demonic blocks. They are pushed toward top surgery, all to satisfy the narrative of a man sitting in a mansion in Michigan. They are hacking their bodies to fit the cheat code. And while this psychological and physical mutilation is happening, there is another, deeply cynical layer of exploitation occurring in the background. Because Jeff and Shaleia aren't just running a church, they are running a highly lucrative media empire. And empires require labor. Couples who achieve harmonious union, like Chris and Emma or Sarah and David, are invited into the inner circle. They are hired as independent contractors for the Twin Flames universe. But this is not a job, it is indentured servitude. Chris and Emma are working 14 to 16 hours a day. They are moderating the Facebook groups, editing Jeff's YouTube videos, writing marketing copy, and coaching new vulnerable members. And for this back-breaking, endless labor, they are paid pennies. Sometimes below minimum wage, justified by the spiritual privilege of working directly for Christ. They are barely making enough to pay their rent, let alone the ongoing monthly fees they are still required to pay for Ascension School access. Imagine Chris's reality. He is trapped in a tiny apartment, staring at a computer screen for 15 hours a day. He is injecting testosterone into his leg, watching his voice drop and his face change in the mirror, feeling a profound, terrifying disconnect from his own body. He is sleeping next to Emma, a woman he was ordered to love, terrified that if they argue, he will be excommunicated and lose the only family he has left. He is financially bankrupt. He is physically altering his biology. He has lost his name. He has lost his gender. He has lost his mind. All because, a few years ago, he was a lonely woman named Chloe who watched a YouTube video about finding a soulmate. This is the cheat code to love. A system designed to take the most fundamental, beautiful human desire, the desire to be known, to be seen, to be held, and turn it into a weapon of absolute destruction. Jeff and Shaleia built a trap so perfect, so insidious, that by the time the victims realized the doors were locked, they didn't even recognize the reflection in the mirror anymore. But human nature is a resilient thing. You can bury a person's intuition under hundreds of hours of mind control. You can alter their body. You can drain their bank account. But eventually, in the quiet, desperate moments of the night, a tiny voice will whisper the truth. And for Sarah, Chris, and dozens of others, that tiny voice was about to scream. Cult experts often talk about a concept called the shelf. When you are deeply indoctrinated into a high-control group, you are constantly presented with things that don't make sense. The hypocrisy of the leader, the cruelty of the doctrine, the sheer grinding misery of your daily life. But because your brain cannot process the trauma of admitting you've been fooled, you take those doubts and you put them on a metaphorical shelf in your mind. You tell yourself you'll deal with them later. You tell yourself you just aren't spiritually advanced enough to understand. But over months and then years, the shelf gets heavier and heavier and heavier, until one day a single tiny weight is added and the entire shelf collapses. For Sarah, the collapse happens on a Tuesday afternoon in Seattle. She has been in the Twin Flames universe for over 3 years. She is completely broke, carrying massive credit card debt to pay for her Ascension School monthly dues. She is living with David, a man she was forced to call her eternal soulmate, though they interact more like exhausted hostages sharing a cell. She is sitting at her laptop, moderating the TFU Facebook group, doing the free labor required of a harmonious union couple. A new post pops into the moderation queue. It's from a young woman, maybe 22 years old, asking for advice. My twin flame just blocked my number and told me to never contact him again. It hurts so much. How do I clear this block? Should I go to his workplace? Sarah's fingers hover over the keyboard. Normally, the protocol is automatic. Sarah is supposed to type, "Yes, persist in love. Don't let his ego win. Buy a coaching session." But as she looks at the glowing screen, the words blur. She isn't looking at a stranger's post anymore. She is looking at a ghost. She is looking at herself 3 years ago, right before she ruined her life, right before she got a criminal restraining order. Sarah feels a sudden, violent snap in her chest. It isn't a spiritual revelation. It is a terrifying, ice-cold rush of reality. She turns her head and looks at David. He is sitting on the couch, staring blankly at his phone, looking gaunt, depressed, and entirely defeated. She realizes, with absolute, undeniable clarity, that Jeff and Shaleia do not have the cheat code to love. They do not have the map to the divine. They are just two people sitting in a mansion in Michigan, getting rich by feeding vulnerable people into a wood chipper. When the illusion breaks, survival instinct takes over. Sarah knows she cannot reason with David. TFU teaches that anyone who questions the group is possessed by the devil. If she tells David she wants to leave, he will immediately report her to their coach. He will attempt to use the mind alignment process to verbally batter her back into submission. She waits until midnight. When David is finally asleep, Sarah packs a single duffel bag. She takes only what she can carry. She leaves behind her journals, her Ascension school notes, and the life she built around the Church of Union. She walks out the front door, gets into her car, and drives. She drives to a cheap motel 2 towns over. She sits on the edge of the stiff mattress, pulls out her phone, and does the hardest thing she has ever done in her life. She logs into Facebook. She blocks Jeff Ayan. She blocks Shaleia. She blocks her coach. And then she clicks, "Leave group." In an instant, she is cut off. The next morning, she is officially declared a suppressive person. TFU leadership sends out a mass communication to the community. Sarah's name is erased from the victory boards. The members are strictly forbidden from contacting her. If they do, they risk losing their own salvation. Even David, the man she shared a bed with, the man she was told shared her soul, never calls. He stays. He chooses the matrix over reality. Sarah is finally free. But freedom, after a cult, doesn't feel like sunshine and rainbows. It feels like waking up in a pile of rubble. The wreckage of the Twin Flames universe is staggering. Sarah has to file for bankruptcy. She has to move back into her childhood bedroom at the age of 34. She has to sit down at her mother's kitchen table and try to explain how a YouTube video about finding a soulmate ended in a criminal record, financial ruin, and an arranged marriage. The shame is suffocating. Cult survivors often talk about this specific agony. Society views cult members as weak-minded or stupid, but they aren't. They are just people who had their greatest vulnerabilities, their hope, their loneliness, their desire for purpose, weaponized against them. And for Sarah, the healing process is incredibly slow. She has to unlearn the mind alignment process. She has to learn that when someone ignores her text, it doesn't mean her soul is flawed. It just means they were busy. She has to learn that setting boundaries isn't the devil. It's healthy. But as hard as Sarah's journey is, she got out with her body intact. Remember Chris? The woman named Chloe who was forced to transition into a man because Jeff Ayan's archaic theology demanded it? When the shelf finally broke for Chris, the horror was incomprehensible. Chris managed to escape the group, fleeing the tiny apartment he shared with Emma, but he couldn't leave the trauma behind. It was etched into his physical form.
I woke up and realized I had mutilated my body to please a man on the internet. My voice is deep. I have facial hair. I look in the mirror and I don't see myself. I see the uniform of my abuser. I am a woman. I always was. TFU took my gender and used it as a leash.
The process of detransitioning for TFU survivors is uniquely agonizing. They aren't just dealing with the medical complexities of reversing hormone therapies. They are dealing with the profound psychological betrayal of realizing they were coerced into altering their biology for a lie. Some physical changes, like the deepening of the vocal cords or the surgical removal of tissue, are permanent. They are lifelong, physical scars inflicted by Jeff's obsession with control. Dozens of former members have come forward with similar stories. Families have hired private investigators to try and pull their daughters out of the group. Documentaries have been made. Journalists have written blistering exposés on the psychological torture occurring inside the Church of Union. The curtain has been pulled back. The wizard has been exposed. So, you would think the story ends with justice, right? If you go to YouTube right now, today, and type in twin flames, you will not find police raids. You will not find Jeff and Shaleia in handcuffs. You will find them sitting on a plush couch, looking perfectly serene, their hair immaculate, their smiles blindingly bright.
Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about how to magnetize your energy to bring your ultimate lover straight to your doorstep.
Because here is the darkest twist of all. The law has an incredibly difficult time prosecuting psychological coercion. Jeff didn't put a gun to anyone's head. He didn't lock the doors. He just built a digital cage entirely out of words, beliefs, and human desperation. In the eyes of the law, adults have the right to join a religion. They have the right to give their money to a guru. They have the right to change their names and their bodies. The Twin Flames universe is still operating. They are still running Ascension School. They are still holding live classes. And they are still pulling in hundreds of thousands of dollars from lonely, vulnerable people desperately searching for a cheat code to love. Every single day, someone goes through a brutal breakup, logs onto the internet at 2 a.m., and clicks on a video that promises them they never have to hurt again. Love is terrifying. It is chaotic. It is unfair. It requires us to stand in front of another human being completely exposed and accept the very real possibility that they might look at us, shrug, and walk away. That vulnerability is the price of admission to human connection. When you strip away the risk, you strip away the reality. A love that is guaranteed, a love that is mathematically mandated, a love that doesn't allow for boundaries or the word no, that isn't love. It's captivity dressed in spiritual clothing. Sarah is rebuilding her life. She is dating again. She goes on bad dates. She gets ghosted. It hurts. But when it hurts, she doesn't blame the universe. She doesn't apologize for having an ego. She just feels sad, calls a real friend, and moves on. She has learned the most valuable lesson of all. There is no cheat code to love. There is no map. There is no one person who holds the key to your soul. And if someone ever walks up to you and tells you that they have the answer, that they know exactly who you are meant to be with, and all you have to do is hand over your mind, your money, and your identity, run.